Evil comes in many forms. It can be scary, chaotic, dangerous, and downright infuriating. But evil can also be compelling. It gives us a dark insight into a world we dare not venture. That's why evil characters are often so memorable. They can be both intriguing and unsettling. Now, not all these characters are villains. Some anti-heroes can also be plenty evil. But regardless of what role they have in any given story, some take evil to a whole new level. And thus far, few have taken it farther than the radio demon of the Hellaverse, Alastor. Hello everyone, I'm Jack Fisher and welcome to my world. And recently, I discovered the whimsical hellscape that is Hazbin Hotel. It's one of those remarkable shows that should not work as well as it does. You take adult animation, crank up the maturity, the profanity, and the heavy themes to 11, then you have it take place in hell, make every character demonic or devilish in some quirky way, and mix in some Broadway caliber music, and you get a show that's unlike anything we've ever seen. Yet somehow, it all works. It works so well that it defies description. Now, I acknowledge it has its critics, but there's no denying the success of this series. The characters, the soundtrack, and a passionate fandom has made Hazbin Hotel a pop culture phenomenon. There are just so many elements that give this world such unique appeal. I could probably make multiple videos exploring every one of them. But for this video, I want to focus on how Hazbin Hotel approaches evil, and as it just so happens, Alastor truly embodies evil in a way I think is absolutely perfect. Now that's not immediately apparent in the first season of the show. Even though Alastor is one of the first characters we meet, we really don't know much about him beyond his creepy demeanor, his unflinching grin, and his distinct radio-style voice. The only detail that matters is that he helps Charlie Morningstar establish the Hazbin Hotel. But as Charlie, Vaggie, and the rest of the cast navigate the inherent challenge of redeeming sinners, Alastor is just there, lingering in the shadows, always grinning, never too concerned, and always amused by what he sees. There's never this sense that he actually believes in Charlie's mission. He also doesn't seem concerned about the larger politics between heaven and hell, or the looming war between angels and demons. But there's no question he has an agenda. It's just not clear what it is initially. But whenever he shows up, whenever he makes his presence felt, you sense it's important. You sense he's biding his time, assessing every situation, and acting only when it serves his interest. Maybe not immediately, but always down the line. He also tends to act when those around him are at their most desperate and vulnerable. He stood by and watched Charlie try desperately to dissuade Heaven's next attack. And when she finally accepts that she must rally the souls of hell around her cause, she comes to a painful realization. She cannot succeed. Her hotel just isn't enough. Then Alastor shows up with a solution. And all he asks in return is one small favor. And the way he says it, the way he looks at Charlie in that moment, you know there's nothing heroic or selfless about this act. Alastor doesn't even try to hide it, never pretends to do anything out of kindness or belief in a greater cause. He's only ever interested in helping himself. Now, that kind of self-serving attitude is unremarkable in the Hellaverse, but what makes Alastor's evil truly stand out is just how effective he is. In addition to being a demon in hell, we also learn that his evil preceded his demonic form. Season 2 reveals that he was already plenty evil as a human. Going to hell, becoming a demon, and making a deal with Rosie, that really didn't change his nature. Those were just steps in a larger process. Because Alastor understood on some levels that to become the most powerful sinner in hell, you can't just seize it. You have to be strategic and opportunistic. And to that end, Alastor is disturbingly adept. He never tries to get everything he wants all at once. He is willing to play the long game. He's also willing to lose a battle to win the war. He may not know how everything will play out to the exact detail, but he understands the value of cunning, subtlety, and exploiting the weaknesses of others. He's also very good at manipulation, be it against wide-eyed idealists like Charlie or psychotic blowhards like Vox. At no point does Alastor ever force them to do what he wants, because he really doesn't have to. Alastor just needs to get under their skin at every possible turn, preying on their insecurities, shortcomings, and vulnerabilities. He knows how to provoke them with words, his grin, and his very presence. And even when it seems like he has no leverage, he always stays in control, knowing when to make his move and when to let others move for him. That, more than anything, is what makes Alastor so capable. He's tactful in that he never reveals his true agenda. He's also patient, willing to grant favors in exchange for something down the line. Now, he never demands anything that seems big. He's not the kind of demon who wants your eternal soul. And you don't have to be a human, a demon, or an angel to recognize the inherent value of a favor. And by keeping his demands small, he makes it easy for others to fall into his trap. Vox and Charlie might be different on every conceivable level, but they both tend to think in the short term. They face an immediate problem, Alastor shows up to help, and his demands never seem unreasonable. But that's only because he's taking advantage of a situation, and they rarely have the luxury or foresight to contemplate how he'll exploit them down the line. This ensures that Alastor gets what he wants, regardless of how Charlie or Vox's efforts pan out. It shows he's as tactical as he is devious. It makes his brand of evil feel truly impactful. And sure, Vox and Adam are plenty evil in their own right. You can easily find a similar brand of evil in any generic antagonist. But they stand in stark contrast to Alastor because they're loud, they're overt, and they demand attention from everyone and everything around them. When they act, they tend to lead with brute force. They follow emotionally charged bloodlust. They may have a plan, but it's never a plan with more than 2 steps. And they don't stick to it the moment it becomes inconvenient. And even when they try to be cunning, they're never as control as much as they think. For these kinds of evil characters, ambition tends to obscure every action. Ego often clouds every thought. They're incapable of holding themselves back, and if they mess up just once, even if it's minor in the grand scheme of things, Alastor is often there to make sure it's devastating. Because he understands that, given enough time, someone like Vox will get reckless. All Alastor has to do is keep provoking him every step of the way. And given Vox's arrogance, that's not all that difficult. In many respects, Vox is a mirror image of Alastor's evil. He works great as a villain and an antagonist. He has presence, he has charisma, and he has a personality that sets himself apart from everyone else in the Hellaverse. But in terms of evil, Vox is incredibly transparent with his flaws. He's volatile, he's shallow, and he's easy to hate on every level. There's really no mystery to him. He carries himself as someone who completely breaks down the moment he loses control. And he also shows no capacity for patience or planning. So, when Alastor willingly surrenders to Vox in exchange for 2 minor conditions, he doesn't really give it a second thought. He just jumps at the chance to humiliate his hated rival. He loudly broadcasts his triumph and superiority to everyone he can reach. Yet even as his power and success grows, Alastor never seems concerned. His grin never wavers, and his attitude never shifts. He just keeps on chiding and insulting Vox, getting under his skin every chance he gets. And even as Vox escalates his efforts, Alastor remains patient, knowing Vox will eventually slip up and that he still has that favor he got from Charlie. And when the payoff eventually comes, Alastor isn't the least bit surprised, because to him, this was all just another show. He didn't pull all the strings, he just had to give a few nudges here and there, and it all worked out for him. You could argue that nobody benefited more from the first 2 seasons of Hazbin Hotel as much as Alastor. He may not have played a direct role in most of the story, but he definitely exerted his influence. He worked smarter instead of harder. He took advantage of allies, enemies, and even Rosie, the one who enslaved him. Now, as things stand at the end of season 2, he's more powerful and less restrained than ever. He has the potential to become the biggest threat in the Hellaverse. He also has the potential to become the most important ally for anyone, be it Charlie, Luke, Lucifer, or Heaven. There's really no telling what direction he'll go in future seasons of Hazbin Hotel. But that suits Alastor's character just fine, because he's the kind of evil that doesn't pick a side. He aligns himself with whatever and whoever serves his interest. He'll even dare to have a little fun along the way. And that's the last detail that makes his kind of evil so perfect. Because it's one thing to be evil out of hate, spite, bitterness, or pain. Those feelings are powerful motivators, yes, but someone who just loves being evil and actually has fun with it, that makes them uniquely dangerous. Because people who enjoy what they do tend to be much better at it than those who don't. Alastor, with that sinister grin and unflappable demeanor, he definitely has a lot of fun over the course of the show. And there's little doubt that he'll keep doing what he does and enjoying it every step of the way. He truly is a special kind of evil. He isn't a god, an angel, or some overpowered force of nature. He's just a demon who knows how to exploit everyone and everything between heaven and hell. The fact that he's so capable and charismatic every step of the way, that's what makes him an evil like no other. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for joining me in my world. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, take care and stay safe.